Hey, so welcome everybody. Rashis, I see my mother is here. Thank you for joining. Honor, my shvoga's here, and some friends, and my daughter and son. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you everybody for coming in shul. Appreciate everybody coming. I'm going to start with the Arachaim Kodesh again. I'm just going to mention the Arachaim Kodesh that we said last week, but I was a little bit fast. I'm going to try to say it a little bit slower. The Arachaim Kodesh says that when it says Lo sisnu esochichu bilvovechu, don't hate your brother in your heart. Why does the Torah say Lo sisnu esochichu bilvovechu? Don't hate your brother. The Torah should have said don't hate your enemy in your heart, not don't hate your brother. Arachaim Kodesh asks the question: if the Torah is trying to tell you don't hate, who should the Torah tell you not to hate? Your enemies. The Chaim Kodesh says the Torah is very specific with the word ochichu because the Torah wants to tell you that even a little bit hate, even a little separation, even just a little bit is also called sisnu. Don't think that sisnu is only when you want to hate him and you want to destroy him and you want to get rid of him. Even just not brotherly is already loy sisnu. That's why when the Torah talks about loy sisnu, the Torah uses the word ochichu. So last week I'm just going to recap what we did last week, and I'm going to try to finish in 45 minutes or less. So we're on a time. Last week we went through one explanation of how we can explain what sinas chinam means. The question was, we know that the Beis Hamikdash was chura because of sinas chinam. What does sinas chinam mean? What does hatred for nothing mean? You can't hate for nothing. If you hate, there's a reason that you hate. So how could there be something that's called hating for nothing? That doesn't make any sense. So last week we went through a workshop and we went through an experience where we understood and felt and came to that when you have sinna on someone else, it's not really the someone else that you have sinna on, because nobody else is telling you something to hurt you. When someone gives you criticism, the example that we used last week was, if my wife tells me that, it's not a true example, but if my wife tells me that I don't care about her, I don't care what she cares about, or I'm not cleaning up, I'm leaving a mess because I don't care about her, she's not trying to tell me that I'm bad. She's trying to name a need that she has. She has a need for more attention. Fakir. She is machshiv me and she wants more of me. She's not telling me that I'm bad. I'm making it mean that I'm bad, but that's not her story. That's my story. So when I have an irritation on somebody for doing something to me, the irritation is really on myself. I am on this feeling shame, or I'm feeling bad that I didn't care about her. So when she tells me that, I'm making it mean something about myself. It's not necessarily her story. And that was the first pshat that we had about sinas chinam. Sinas chinam means that I don't really hate the other. She's only reminding me of the resentment, of the anger, of the sadness, of the uncomfortable feeling that I have in myself that she's agreeing with. So that was the first pshat that we had of sinas chinam. I realized that it's very big and that we can flesh it out and in a lot of classes, and we can also work on resolving and dissolving the resentments and stuff like that. But the point of the class was to bring in awareness, be aware that when someone is irritating you, realize that the irritation is not at someone else. I'm just making aware the irritation is the uncomfortable feeling that we have with ourselves. It's not hating someone else. Try to realize what that person really means, what that person really wants. And when you realize what that person really wants, you'll see that you should have ahavas chinam instead of sinas chinam. That was the first example. Today, I want to go into another pshat, into another interpretation of sinas chinam and why it's called chinam. So if we go to our papers, we have the 4 boxes. So in the first box, we're going to start again with an irritation. We're going to talk with something, a resentment that we have on someone else. So in box number 1, please write an irritation that you have. There's a point I said, and writing, it's important to write because with that way, you're actually putting it onto a paper. So the example that I'm going to use in this class is, I was watching somebody last Friday scrolling on his phone, and I was irritated. I said, why are you wasting time scrolling? Why don't you do something that's more important? Why are you scrolling on your phone? I had an irritation. I'm going to use that as an example, or the example that we had over here, that someone owes me money and they're not paying me and I'm irritated. Why don't you pay me? Right? An irritation that I have on someone else. An irritation can also be someone's talking in shul and I'm irritated that they're talking in shul. Any irritation that you have about someone else is a good example to use for this. So I'm going to write in my box an irritation that I'm working with. I'm going to be working with someone scrolling on their phone is very irritating. When I watch that, it's irritating. They should, right? Irritating. If you write who, when, where, and who watched, will bring you more present into the irritation. The point of this is to get into the irritation so that we can look at it. So that it's not just talking hype, it's actually feeling the irritation so that we can work with it. So I'll give you a minute to write an irritation in box number 1. Okay. You ready? Okay. Box number 2. Let's go to box number 2. In box number 2, we have to look at it a little bit deeper at what we're talking about over here and understand what is the should. In other words, when I see someone scrolling on his phone and I'm irritated, I have a should about him. He should be doing something else, or he shouldn't be scrolling on his phone. He shouldn't be talking in shul. He should be doing something more valuable. He shouldn't be wasting his money. He should pay me. There's a should. Whenever I'm irritated, there's a should. Try to go into your irritation that you wrote in box number 1. What is the should? What is the should? What are you making it? What's the should that you have on the other?
Should or shouldn't.
Should or shouldn't? Should or shouldn't, right? He should do something more. Is it clear? Am I being clear? Getting it?
Very.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. And now for box number 3. Now, whenever we have a should on someone else, I'm going to say a sentence, then I'm going to try to explain it. Okay, this is the punchline. Whenever we have a should on someone, we are expecting him or her to live according to my priorities. Okay, and let me explain that. When I see someone scrolling on his phone and I say that he should be doing something more important, what's that should? He should be living according to my priorities. He shouldn't be talking in shul means that he should be in my, he should prioritize what I prioritize.
Isn't there an objective right and wrong?
Well, everybody has a different objective, right or wrong.
If someone's breaking the law, and that irritates me.
Well,
so if he's breaking the law,
he should be listening to the law because that is your value. Because that is your value.
It's everybody's value, so it's
not
just me.
Not everybody's value.
Okay, so it's the right, you would hope. If it's the Torah's value, the Torah has a certain value.
Okay, Torah value is something that we can talk about, right? Okay, I don't want to go into that, but
so if someone's talking in shul and you have a Torah,
it's a Torah value. Got it. Okay, we could talk about that, but for this exercise, right?
So just,
why, if you want to understand it, it's
ethics. It's study. We're talking in the theater. Whatever the theater.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no. When you have a Torah value, why do you have the Torah value? What is it? What is it really? What is the Torah value? You're fighting for Hashem. Hashem can fight for himself. When it's your value. If you think about it really deeply, but I don't want to go that route. I'd rather pick something that's more that we can understand, something that's more available. Okay, so when I see someone stingy, what does stingy mean? That he's not spending on what I prioritize. He's spending on what he prioritizes. Any should that we have, a should, if I have a should on someone, that means that I expect or want him to prioritize what I prioritize. The same thing is when we had a should on ourselves. When we should get up earlier, we should do more, we should, all that, we're not doing it. When we have a should on ourselves, is because we want to inject somebody else's priorities. If you think about it, we all live according to our priorities. And I'll explain what priorities are. So in box number 3, I'm going to say the 7 areas of life. I'm going to give you a way how to figure out, how to see, how to understand what your priorities are. When I'm saying priorities, I want to make it a little bit more tangible, a little more understandable. Okay. So there are 7 areas of life. And I'm going to give you a way how to understand what your priorities are so you understand where I'm going. Okay, so if you want to write down, the first word is physical. There's 7 areas of life. The first one is physical. Physical means beauty, fitness, and health. Physical. Okay, that's the area of life called physical. The second area is mental. Mental is learning, listening, processing, anything that you're doing to learn is mental. The third area of life is spiritual. Okay? Spiritual is anything we do to connect to Hashem, anything we do to connect to our purpose, anything we do to connect to Hashem, anything we do to connect to Hashem, anything we do to connect to the purpose that we believe Hashem gave us. That's spiritual. Okay? Then there's vocational. That's 4. Okay, vocational is the job that we do, or whatever vocation we do. Okay, then comes financial. Financial is the area of money. Okay, how we allocate it, how we save it, if we save it, how much we save it, and it's not exactly it's not vocational. It's a different area of life. And then the last 2 is familial. Familial is the amount of time, money, effort, whatever we spend with family. Social is friends, our friend circle. Now, if you take an average day, or a day is the best way to do it, okay? If you divide your day into hours, into time, how much time do you spend on physical? How many hours, how many minutes do you spend on beauty, fitness, health? Physical, how much time of the day? Split up a day. You're thinking of a day of 24 hours. How many of the 24 hours? And put a number near physical. How many hours do you spend on fitness, beauty, health? Time. Okay. Put a number. Okay. Mental. How much time do you spend learning, listening, processing? How much time do you spend on that? Spiritual. How much time do you spend connecting to Hashem, connecting to your purpose, serving Hashem, just in the service of Hashem, and just connecting to Hashem? How much time do you spend on that? Yeah. Okay, I'm just giving you, this is one way how to figure out what your priorities are. If you put a number of hours in, like think of your hours in time. When do you come to shul? When do you go home? When do you do a mitzvah? How much time do you spend on that? Just a number of hours, a number of time. Okay. Vocational, how much time do you spend on your work every day? Average. We're not talking about specific, we're talking about driving to is also part of vocational, unless you're using it for mental, unless you're using it to study or to learn, or what are you using your time for? Okay. How much time do you spend finance? How much time do you spend allocating your money? How much time do you spend figuring out the money, saving? How much time do you spend on money every day? Okay. How much time do you spend with your family? Time with your family, time. How much time? And then how much time do you spend in social settings?
Zero.
And friends, with friends. Now, if you look at the numbers that you put on, you'll see everybody has a different amount of numbers. There's no two people the same. This is fingerprint specific. Everybody has different values. This is one way of figuring out what your values are. These are your values. These are your priorities. The reason that you do or don't do is because it fits in with these priorities. When you prioritize something more, you will put more time. The second thing you can do is money. How much money do you spend is also a very good indicator. How much money do you spend on physical, mental, spiritual? I'm not going to go through it, but
some of these things are not necessarily your choice. Like a job, for example, it's not a choice all the time.
But what, okay, how much, there's other indicators, but you're right. But how much time do you spend on it? It is a priority. It's a priority because that's what you do. What you do is your priority.
But you mentioned something about value.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Value doesn't mean right, but
it's not your choice. It's not
right,
right.
100%. So when I say values, I don't mean what you are machshiv. That's not what I mean when I say values. When I'm saying values, I'm talking about priorities, right? How much priority do you give this? How much priority do you give this?
That's very interesting. How many hours out of the 24?
Wow, pretty good. So you can get a pretty accurate, this is one way how to figure out what your priorities are. There are other ways. There's how much money you spend on each area of life, how much you talk. When you talk to people, what do you talk about? What do you talk about? How much of your talking is for each area of life? Your thoughts, your dreams, your space, your personal space. What's in your personal space? Take a look at what's in your personal space. Personal space, your personal space. What's in your personal space? Is it physical, mental, spiritual? These are all ways of figuring out your priorities. So in number 3, what I wanted everybody to do was to figure out what their priorities are. Okay, now, when someone has a very high priority for physical, a very high priority, okay, and somebody has another person has a very small, a 0 priority for physical. What does the physical call the other one? Lazy. Is he really lazy? Absolutely not. He just has a different priority. What about the one that has 0 physical? What does he call the one that's all physical? What does he call him? What?
Vain.
Vain. Very good. Is he really vain? Absolutely not. He has a different priority. When we give a label on someone, we're talking based on our priorities. We have a priority. We're looking at someone else. We're giving a judgment on that person because we expect that person to live in our priorities. Make sense? When we say somebody's stingy, they're spending their money somewhere. They're not spending on what we would like them to spend their money on. We call them stingy, right? When someone spends a lot of money on something that we don't have a priority, what do we call him? A flaunter, whatever, right? He's not flaunting. He's just in his priority. We get the idea? Do we understand what I'm saying? So when I am looking at someone and being irritated by him, what I'm really doing is I want him to live in my priority. That's what all irritation is all about. Irritation is an expectation. I'm expecting someone else to live according to my priorities. Does that make sense? Now, we can only change and control and be in charge of what's in us. We can't expect anything outside of us. We can't expect anybody to do anything just because we want something done, or just because we have a priority. We can't expect someone else to live in our priority. That makes sense? Whenever we are expecting someone to live outside their priority, when we want someone not to live by their priorities, that's futile, right? That's chinam. What's a tefillah's chinam? What's a tefillah's shav? A tefillah that has no point, that has no outcome. When we have an irritation about someone, and the irritation is because we have a different priority than them, I want to call that chinam, because it's futile to tell someone else what priority they should have. This is Nagaya for Einiglich. This is Nagaya for children. This is Nagaya for parents. This is Nagaya for in-laws. This is Nagaya for friends. This is Nagaya for everybody. Whoever we have shaykhs to, it's very important for us to realize that while we have our priorities and we're entitled to our values and our priorities, they're not wrong. Just because you have a high value for one thing and a low value for something else doesn't make it better or worse. Someone else has a higher value for something else. Make sense?
I heard one time say that when someone is, let's say someone is sick on Yom Kippur, and someone is makel on the tinus, he's being machmir in the fashions.
Right.
So he's being makel on
right.
So that is the same.
Exactly. Same idea. Same idea. Exactly. Right.
What if we think it doesn't fall into one of these categories? Value.
This is just one way of understanding. I'm giving a way to understand what it means that we live by our priorities, they live by their priorities. So I'm going to go to my example that I was giving, right? I saw someone scrolling on his phone, and I was thinking that he is wasting time. What is he really doing? He's living by his priorities. He can be doing social, he can be doing business, he can be doing a lot of things. He just doesn't have my priority. I have a different priority than him. So when I'm irritated by him, it's important if I can step back for a minute and realize the reason that I'm irritated, or try to understand the expectation that I'm having from him, and realize that it's totally invalid and it doesn't make any sense. How could I have an expectation of someone else to live in my priorities? Everybody lives by their own priorities. Make sense?
I get irritated by the people that do not respect the Balklever.
Right.
I get irritated by the people that do not respect the beautiful.
Right.
I get irritated. So
Right.
That's
But wait. That's a very good example. What is your should? Let's go in order. What's your should? They
should have their hair.
They should have their cheretz. Right? They should have their cheretz. Now, when you say they should have their cheretz, that's an expectation of them. You're having an expectation that they should prioritize their cheretz. They should prioritize what you prioritize. You know what? They have an expectation that you should prioritize what they prioritize. You know what they prioritize? No. You know what they prioritize? They prioritize camaraderie. They prioritize friends. They prioritize breathing, living.
But when they go to the library, when they go to the courthouse, they don't dare
Okay.
do the leader.
Okay. That's okay. I get it. I'm just giving you I'm giving you a way how to take it apart. I wanna separate. I'm just giving an awareness. We can talk about it. The irritations have to be resolved. They have to be fleshed out. All of that. All thing I want to do over here is just give it an awareness. When we are irritated by someone else, just to be aware of what we're doing. We are expecting someone else to live in my priority. If you just take a breath and realize and try to see what's their priority. What are they prioritizing? What's important to them? Maybe they have something that's important to them. You're right. You have something that's important to you, and they have something that's important to them. Just separating that is enough to just open up, and instead of making sinas chinim, to realize that what they want is to live in their priority.
And if they're prioritizing avodah zarah, I'm supposed to sit back and say,
There's what you're supposed to do. I'm talking about an awareness of understanding that when you have a should on someone or an expectation of someone, that's a futile expectation, because you can't expect someone to live by your priorities. That's all I want to say.
Even if somebody has stated a priority that they have, and now they're being inconsistent with that, and you're expecting them to be consistent, that's also your expectation.
That's also an expectation of them. Right, exactly. So if we realize that while we are entitled to live by our values, we have full right. They're not wrong. Our values are not wrong. Our values are, I mean, if you ask somebody what's good music, right? Music that I like, right? What's good taste? You have the right to have good taste and have good music and to have your priorities and live in your priorities. You have 100% right for that. But at the same time, to realize that the other has also his set of priorities, and that we should not expect, when we realize that. So in box 4, if we can just right now, based on what you learned now about priorities, what can you say is their priority? What are they doing? And what is your priority that you're expecting from them? That you have a list, you have your priorities, and you want them to live in your priorities. Okay, but realize that you can't change anything outside of you. You can't change, just like they can't change your priority. They can't tell you what's important or what's not important. They can't tell you that, because you have your priority, and your life demonstrates your priority. Your life demonstrates your priority.
It's more than that, because if you, the person who's bothered by someone's behavior, would have been brought up in that person's world, you very well might have come up with the same conclusions.
That's true.
The problem is we were all brought up in the same world. That's the problem.
Be surprised. Be surprised. And you know what? Try to understand. Try to. Okay, put your priorities on the side and try to understand, what are his priorities. What are his priorities? Why is he doing what he's doing? Try to see what he is prioritizing, and try to understand someone else from his lens, not from your lens. Yeah, according to your lens, this is priority, but yeah, someone else has other priorities. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. So if in box 4, you can just try in box 4 to write, when you are judging him or her and you're expecting something, what is your priority that you're expecting? Like in my case, when I see him scrolling, the priority that I would want him to be filling is work, spiritual. That's my priority. That's why I'm saying that he's wasting time, because he is not working or spiritual. On the other hand, what can be his priority at that time? He can be social. He can be vocational. He can be prioritizing something else at that time.
Be considerate to others.
It's a very important thing. And I'm not telling you not to be considerate, and I'm not saying that there's no consideration. And they should be, right. You know what?
Send him to the store.
Look at that. I was just going to say that.
And he's being very considerate to his wife.
I was just going to say that. When you say to someone that he's inconsiderate, is he really inconsiderate, or is he inconsiderate to your priorities and considerate to his priorities? He's considering his priorities.
Gava, Kina.
Okay, so that's back to Torah. That's the Shmis with Torah, right? So there is Torah values. You're right. That's not what I'm going on. I'm just trying to open up and
talking about the Torah values.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
No, but
Yeah. There's other things.
You don't have to take care of the Torah.
Right.
That's 100%.
Exactly. That's really how it goes further. Hashem can take care of his own world. You don't have to fight for Hashem, and you don't have to fight his world, and you don't have to take care of Hashem. Hashem knows how to take care of himself.
So I shouldn't hate him.
Right.
For what he is.
Right.
Exactly. That's the point. And the point is that when I'm saying sin is chinam, the reason that all sin is sin is chinam is because it's futile. Because hating him is wanting something that's out of your control. It's trying to control something that you can't control. And that is chinam. So all sin, when you have an irritation on someone else, is chinam, because you can't control anything outside of you. It can go on, but this is the point that
It's difficult because people hope that in relationships, they have people of the same values. You hope that your wife, your husband, your kids have the same values.
yes. So there
When you
is
see them
right.
not having the same values, then it's
Yeah.
troubling.
right. So there is work to do. There's work to do about linking your values to them, being able to accommodate, being able to live your values with theirs. There's a lot of work to do about it. That's not what we're doing in this class. There's a lot to work. There's a lot to work about it. In this class, I'm trying to give an awareness, just an awareness that we really understand and feel and able the next time that we encounter someone that we're irritated, to be able to just take a breath and realize that we're expecting something that's impossible. We're expecting to control something that's out of our control.
This is a lot of,
That's
this requires a lot of self-awareness.
100%. And that's what I'm trying to bring. That's what I'm trying to bring about. I'm trying to bring about a little awareness and to realize that sin is chinam. The reason that sin is chinam is because it's futile. It really is futile. All sin that we have is totally senseless. So this is the second.
We asked
shot.
Yitzchok, get rid of all this, not the sins.
Yeah.
Not the sinners.
Not the sinners, the
The
sins.
sins.
Yeah. The Yatzara. The Irish is going to take away the Yatzara from the world. Yeah. And in Mitzvah Hashem, if we all work on ourselves and work to have more ahavas chinam instead of sinas chinam, like the Cheskel Kashmira said, that with ahavas chinam we're going to bring back the Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of sinas chinam, the second Beis Hamikdash. And if we have ahavas chinam, that's the way to be Mekar of the Gela and to bring back the Beis Hamikdash. You can stop the recording.
Hi, everybody. Any questions? Any questions here? Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you very much.
You read.